Former President Donald Trump has pleaded not guilty to 34 felony counts.
This historic arraignment happening this afternoon in Manhattan. Trump accused of falsifying business records. The charges stem from a hush money payment to porn star Stormy Daniels during Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. No video cameras are allowed in the courtroom, but as you see here, these are photos from inside showing the former president in his signature red tie, flanked by his attorneys. The Manhattan District Attorney speaking to the media shortly after the arraignment this afternoon. Take a listen.
Under New York state law, it is a felony to falsify business records with intent to defraud and an intent to conceal another crime. That is exactly what this case is about. 34 false statements made to cover up other crimes. These are felony crimes in New York State, no matter who you are.
Trump, who was impeached twice but never convicted, is the first former president to face criminal charges. He is expected to speak this evening from his Mar-a-Lago home. He is on his way back right now.
And as you can imagine, reaction is pouring in following Trump's arraignment.
And we're joined now by Fox 2 legal analyst Charlie Langton. He has in front of him the actual documents. And as you read through those, you and I talked, and everyone's been talking about federal charges versus state charges, and whether this was out of his jurisdiction. It seems like he's picking at state charges from New York about what Trump may have allegedly done.
Well, he does. He has to do that, but there are certainly enough federal issues involved in this. Now, this is the actual what the grand jury came down with. Let me summarize this because we're just getting it. It's a little bit complicated, but the bottom line here is he's being charged with 34 different counts of falsifying New York business records. What could those records be? Well, they could be records of the Trump organization. He's got over 500 various organizations, and there were some companies that were made to basically disguise money paid to Stormy Daniels and other ones. He says, this is the attorney here, Bragg, says that a violation of New York election law as well as contribution limits. And there was a scheme that was made. In fact, he calls this a catch and kill scheme. So we're going to hear a lot more detail about this. I'll get into some more details, but I had a chance to talk to a couple of people who are following this very closely, one at a rally and the one Democratic lawmaker who knows these charges very well. Take a look.
Trump was surrounded by huge legal teams, accountants, lawyers.
The implication being made that Donald Trump could do no wrong despite the 34 charges against him.
And what you have is, this is something that's a tortured use of the law.
One opinion, but shared by many at a Trump prayer rally during the time the former president was being arraigned. Money has been raised, millions of dollars, centered around an indictment. Does that bother you?
I think it's a persecution issue. I mean, they basically made a martyr out of the president, and they don't see it.
He's very good at turning himself into a martyr, into a victim, and fleecing his supporters of money.
One person who sees the indictment differently than Shelby Township trustee is Democratic attorney Mark Brewer, even when it appears that a state judge may have to interpret federal campaign law.
State judges are bound by the federal constitution, and they interpret federal law all the time as part of their job. That's not a problem at all.
So breaking this really all down is that there was a $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels. Now, there's another person involved in this too, but let's just focus on Stormy Daniels. Basically, a shell company was set up to make the payment. And then Donald Trump allegedly gave money to Michael Cohen. It only says lawyer one. We don't know the name, but likely it's Michael Cohen. And then later then he made the payment to Stormy Daniels. Now later when Trump became president, he had meetings in the Oval Office, as well as texts, as well as tweets, as well as emails, etc. But basically, because then they tried to characterize this as a retainer, a fee for legal services. But $180,000, you have to pay tax on that money, right? So he doubled the payment to $420,000. There must have been some expenses as well in there. So basically, Trump gave him 12 payments of $35,000, totaling $420,000, which would take care of the tax implications. The district attorney says this is part of a scheme. Believe me, There's a lot in here. I'm summarizing it. This is going to be a long time.
Yeah, it's very involved, but it's also evolved, this case, with more charges. And that's why we heard the DA say that that's why they've been able to take it to this level and do it with charge Trump with felonies. However, with cases like this, financial crimes, allegedly, there's a paper trail. Isn't it easier to be able to follow, connect the dots if you're dealing with a financial crime?
Yes, and I think that's the problem when you have remember, Michael Cohen was convicted, he pled guilty, and did prison time. So that's one of the star witnesses. The other one might be a porn star. Honestly, I don't think Stormy Daniels is really going to testify at all. I think she plays actually a minor role. But you're right. There is a paper trail. And the paper trail is going to be not only these shell companies that were set up, but also the texts and the emails and the phone messages, which apparently they have here. So they've done a lot of work here to make this case. I don't know if it's good.
Are the charges redundant, though? We're hearing some people saying there's multiple charges of the same thing.
Yes. Basically, every time you make a payment is a separate crime. So there were 12 payments of $35,000, and every time they made a payment, that's a separate crime.
And this trial that they're talking about, the prosecution says we want to do it January 16th, and the defense is saying, hey, can we move it to spring? Any way you cut it, this is right smack dab in the middle of the election of course, the big campaigns, and that's going to be a big deal. It's going to play a role.
You're right. I heard the January trial, but listen, with all of these issues and the minutia that I would imagine the Trump team is going to go through, there's going to be appeals, and there's going to be delays, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, January, maybe. January of what year? It could be the year after. I'm not sure. Anyway, there's a lot in here. Fascinating stuff, but it does involve New York law. Yes, there's some federal overtone. There's no question about it. But these are the charges. Now we know them, and we'll be able to discuss this for a long time.
You have a lot to pour through there, my friend, and we'll let you do that.
We'll
talk to you again.
You got it.